Good morning and welcome to our Genesis Women's Shelter and Support Client Services webinar. My name's Amber Neely. I'm the Assistant Clinical Director here at Genesis. I'm joined with Jordan Gates.
Hi, everybody.
And Charlotte Weatherford.
Good morning, everyone.
So both of Jordan and Charlotte are women's and children's therapists here at Genesis. So we're going to be talking about parenting today, but before we get started, I just want to go through a few housekeeping items with y'all. So this presentation is for educational purposes only, so it's not to be used in lieu of therapy. Also, we're going to be talking about different suggestions and different strategies that you can use. Please consider your own situation and safety concerns before putting into practice any of the ideas that we've talked about today. Okay, so let's talk about safety. So when you're watching this webinar, we want to make sure that you're safe. So please be sure you're watching this in a safe place where only safe people can hear you. So that might mean that you're wearing headphones to ensure that no one else can hear what you're watching. Remember to clear your browser history after watching this video in case you suspect that somebody's monitoring your phone or computer. If you are watching with us live on Zoom and you need to leave abruptly, you'll need to click end leave meeting a couple of times, and then you'll need to close out the Zoom page. So there's like 2 steps to getting out of the Zoom meeting. For confidentiality, we're asking that you do not use the chat feature on Zoom. If you do use that chat feature, your name and comment will be seen by anybody who's watching this live video. And also we're putting these videos up on our YouTube channel, so that could be seen there as well. In terms of our YouTube channel, if you are watching on YouTube, we just ask that you don't leave any comments there. You shouldn't be able to, but if by the off chance you were, we just ask that you don't leave any comments there because, again, your name and comment will be seen by anyone who watches the video. So if you are in crisis as you're watching this and you need help with emergency safety planning, or you're looking for emergency shelter due to experiencing intimate partner violence, please call our 24-hour hotline at 214-946-4357. If you're not already a counseling client of ours and you're interested in signing up for counseling, give us a call at 214-389-7700. So if you have any questions about anything that we talk about in today's webinars or any of our other webinars for that matter, please contact the counselors who are leading it. So me, Jordan, or Charlotte. We're going to leave our contact information at the end of this webinar, so you can jot that down and reach out to us if you have any questions. Again, we don't monitor any of the comments or questions left on YouTube, so you'll need to reach out to us directly if you need help. Here are some hotlines that are useful. So again, you have our Genesis Women's Shelter and Support hotline. This is a 24-hour hotline. You also have the National Domestic Violence Hotline. So if you're watching on YouTube and you're not in the Dallas area and you're needing some support, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. They are able to help you locate resources based on your zip code. Also, we know that whenever we experience a traumatic event such as domestic violence, sometimes there are feelings of hopelessness that come up with that. Sometimes we even have thoughts of suicide. If you're having any suicidal thoughts or thoughts about wanting to harm yourself, please call the National Suicide Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. Okay, so we're going to jump into our topic. So understanding your children's inner world. We are using the book When Dad Hurts Mom, which is written by Lundy Bancroft. Lundy Bancroft is a leading expert in domestic violence. He also wrote the book Why Does He Do That? About the inside of the mind of an abusive man. So how this book can help you. This can help you understand the effects of domestic violence, can help your children heal emotionally. It's really helpful in guiding mothers and providing children with love, support, and positive role models, even in the midst of domestic violence. I love this part of the book is that it does add some information about understanding the court systems and success in custody cases. Those are always questions that come up for moms. And then also gives you tools and skills to help your children feel good about themselves. So we're kind of going through this chapter by chapter and diving in, but this is what the book looks like if you're wanting to read it for yourself. And you can order it on Amazon. So before we get started, we just always want to start with looking at what the impact of domestic violence is. So again, this book is helpful in gaining the understanding of how a child's exposure to a man who abuses their mother sends shockwaves through the family. When we're looking at domestic violence, remember at Genesis, we're specifically talking about intimate partner violence, right? So husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, or same-sex relationships as well. So this includes threats, verbal abuse, humiliation, and it creates an atmosphere where mom is disrespected by dad. Her voice is silenced, she's bullied, or treated like a servant. This brings a lot of distress and confusion to children. It also creates tense relationships between the mother and child. You know, maybe this abusive dad is making the child believe that the mom isn't smart enough or good enough to take care of them. And so this puts a lot of this puts a damper on the mother-child relationship. Oftentimes, we also see a division amongst siblings. Sometimes one sibling is really aligned with dad and one is really aligned with mom. And then there's a lot of fighting that we see happening between siblings. I'm going to let Charlotte talk about understanding your child's inner world.
Hey everyone. So yeah, we wanted to provide a little bit more information about how you can try and understand your child's inner world, their inner experience, how they are internalizing what they've experienced. So children are aware of the abuse. They do see and hear the incidents, whether it's actually seeing and hearing the fight, or maybe it's seeing a broken plate on the ground, or the environmental repercussions of an argument. They hear about events from each other, from other siblings. A lot of times older siblings don't necessarily know what's appropriate for a younger sibling to know about, and they might be sharing information about arguments between mom and dad. And they can see and feel tension, whether that looks like seeing that mom maybe has puffy eyes the next morning from crying the night before, or maybe they just notice that after mom and dad have gotten in an argument, mom's really distant, or maybe she's a little more irritable. So they can kind of feel that tension in the home and know that there's something going on. And children's interpretations can matter just as much as their experiences. So children are great at observing, but they're not necessarily great at understanding at what's happening. And it's not uncommon for children to make really large leaps to an inaccurate conclusion from what they've witnessed. So the first step to understanding your children's experiences is to just talk to them, encourage them to tell you how they perceived the event. What was that like for you? What did you see that was scary? And try to draw out the meanings that they assign to what they've witnessed. Specifically looking for, are they self-blaming? Did they feel like, oh, because I didn't finish my dinner and that made dad mad, that caused that argument, it was my fault? Just really trying to understand what they took from the event. And children, they will be frightened by witnessing and experiencing and knowing that this abuse is going on. Most children of abused women hide how scared they feel. They might be afraid to tell mom because they don't want to add to mom's stress. They might be afraid to express their feelings because they're afraid they're going to be punished by dad. But there might be multiple reasons why they're afraid to bring it up. They don't want to add to mom's burden, and they might feel that they're going to just try to handle these feelings themselves instead of trying to talk to another person about them. Often, kind of like I was mentioning before, children can believe that they are to blame. They might feel guilty because they think they caused the abuse, or because they believe they should have prevented the abuse. So kind of like the example I mentioned before, they might feel like they contributed to the argument that led to abuse. Or maybe this is an older teenager that felt like, I should have stepped in between, I should have done something and prevented it from happening. Mothers can use phrases like, you didn't cause the fight, it isn't your fault in any way that dad was mean to me, dad is responsible for his own action and his own problems. And it's important for children to be told that it's not their responsibility to solve the problems happening at home or their dad's abusive behavior. It's really important that they understand that it's the adult's responsibility to make sure that they're creating a safe environment for them. And children want to talk about, the abuse, but they feel that they can't for multiple reasons. They might feel like if through direct and indirect messages, they might feel like they're not supposed to talk about it. Maybe they feel that adults can handle our feelings about the scary event. It's just too much for them. If I start talking about what this was like for me, then that just might be too overwhelming and too much for them to handle. And you're not supposed to talk about unpleasant things. Maybe this is because no one else is talking about it, or maybe the unpleasant things or uncomfortable experiences have never been brought up with family members, so they just feel that we just don't talk about unpleasant things, and they just don't express their feelings about them. I'm going to pass it off to Jordan. She's going to talk a little bit about children and feelings.
Yes, so an important part of your child's healing process is helping them be able to identify and express their feelings and allowing that space for children to express their feelings. And so it's important for children to know that contradictory feelings can go together, right? So a child can feel happy, sad, and mad all at the same time, or a child can feel sad and confused, and that can lift a lot of relief from kids when they know, oh, I can feel multiple things at the same time. It's also important for kids to know that whatever they're feeling is not going to last for forever, right? So if no one tells them that, they could think, I'm going to feel sad for forever. A lot of times I'll use the analogy with kids. Feelings are like clouds, so they come and go, and they're constantly moving throughout us. Another important thing for children is children need space to feel what they feel, right? So when a child experiences a negative emotion, sometimes we want to save that child for them. We want to fix it for them. And because we don't want to see kids sad, right? It makes us sad, but it's important to allow them to have that space to feel what they need to feel. Children need to know that they aren't crazy and that the abusive man's behavior has indeed been scary and acceptable, right? So if no one is telling that child what dad or what he's doing is not okay, they may think, is this normal? Is feeling angry always a bad thing? And so when you call it out and you talk to your children and communicate with that, it can be, again, really relieving for them. Children often don't know how to express their feelings with words. So I know you guys all see this with your children. It's not just toddlers who can't use their words. It's adolescents, it's teenagers, even adults, right? It's hard for children to be able to identify and verbalize their emotions. So maybe with your little kids, you really can see that children use play to be able to express themselves. Teens may express it more by internalizing their feelings or externalizing it by acting out more, but giving your child different tools on how they can express it. So maybe use feeling charts, or maybe journaling or drawing, or even if you can tell your child is angry, take them outside and let them run around the playground really fast. But being able to read your child's body language and read your child's play to help you figure out how they're feeling and how you can help. And then lastly, you can help by teaching them how to name their feelings. So again, just giving them the tools and the vocabulary on how to name what they're feeling, and that is going to help you as well. Because when they're able to verbalize and identify their feelings, then you're going to be able to know how they're feeling. It's also important to know that children are resilient and healing is always, always possible. And so to hold on to that. Emotional wounds do not last a lifetime. Children, a big part of their healing process is to be emotionally close to their mother and siblings. And this will help them. It's the most important part of their recovery process. Because when they feel really safe around you and their siblings and the important people in their life, they're going to be able to express themselves and heal with them. Children need room, again, to express and release their feelings. Children need their strengths praised and drawn upon, and it is important, right? And this sounds simple, but allowing your children to engage in things that they enjoy a lot. And that's going to be a really important part of their of their healing process and their coping. And lastly, children need to know their mother can protect them. So Lundy talks about this constantly throughout his whole book, but the most important part of the child's healing process is their close relationship with their mother. And so when they know that mom can protect them, they will start to feel, they will feel safe, but also will be able to feel safe to express those difficult emotions and work through that. So I'm going to pass it back over to Charlotte.
So now that you're starting to get a better understanding of how your child's, their inner world, what they're experiencing, how they're internalizing everything, what can you do? Remind your children periodically that they are free to talk about anything. You may need to remind them frequently. The freer your children feel to tell the truth of their experiences, the safer they will be in the long run. And then they start to have that practice of just communicating how they feel. And when you're responding in that safe and consistent way, they start to have, it's a positive experience for them being able to express their feelings. Try to stop blaming your children and yourself for how things are for them. The people that are causing the abuse have to be accountable for that impact. It's not your fault and it's not your children's fault, and just reassuring them of that. Telling them that abuse is wrong, being very specific about what behaviors, what that abuse is, and just reassuring them that that is unacceptable and it's not wrong. I'm sorry, that it is wrong. Model accepting responsibility for your own mistakes. So everybody makes mistakes. We're all human, and just modeling for them that, like I said, everybody will make mistakes, and it's just how you handle them and how you come back from that and resolve that conflict. Helping your children not to worry about you. Just reassuring them that you're an adult, it's your responsibility to keep yourself and them safe, and it's not their job to worry about you. Making safety plans with your children. This might give them some comfort and a little bit of sense of control, knowing that they have a plan in place. So whether that's a plan at home or a plan when they're at friends' houses or somewhere else, wherever your children might feel uncomfortable and unsafe, putting a plan in place for them to have. Accept the range of feelings that your children might have toward your partner. And this might be difficult, but children do tend to have contradictory feelings, like Jordan was saying. They might miss dad, they might crave a relationship with dad, but they also might feel scared of dad. That's totally normal to have multiple emotions and multiple feelings towards that abusive parent. Reminding your children that the abuse is not their fault. And telling your children that the abuse isn't your fault either. If your children are old enough to date, be attentive to who their partners are. What are their dating practices like? Love is Respect is a really great resource for teen dating violence and just teen dating in general, and keeping them informed on what's acceptable, what's healthy, and what's not. Try to reduce your children's exposure to violent or anti-female television shows, movies, video games, toys, and song lyrics. So what are they being exposed to? What media are they being exposed to? Graphics, these videos, what kind of dynamics are they showing in relationships, and how violent is the media that they're consuming? Seek help for yourself and for your children. Keep pouring love into your children like you are, just reminding them that you love them and showing them that love through your consistency. And show your children that you believe in their goodness. That's so important. When they exhibit behaviors that remind you of your abusive partner, just reminding children that just because they might make a bad choice, or just because they might make a mistake, does not make them bad. That choice was not the right choice, but that does not make them bad. And just really reassuring them of their core goodness.
Great. So that's the end of our presentation for today. And we just wanted to remind you that even by logging into this Zoom link or by watching this on YouTube, you're taking a really brave step toward healing for yourself and your family. You know, dealing with domestic violence and being a mom in the midst of this global pandemic is really stressful. So please make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Reach out to us if there's anything we can do to support you. And I just wanted to end with this quote: mothers hold their children's hands for a short while, but their hearts forever. So if you need to reach us, here's our contact information. Thank you so much for watching and joining us today, and we'll see you guys next week.